All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover what feels like a secret financial code passed down through generations. We're looking at historical wisdom that hasn't just built thriving communities, but actually empowered everyday people with the tools to create lasting, unshakable prosperity. So grab a notebook, because we are about to decode how you can apply these deeply rooted principles straight into your modern financial life.
Now, we really have to start with this incredibly provocative question. Why does wealth rarely survive 3 generations? Seriously, think about it. It's a pretty well-known phenomenon. The first generation builds the wealth, the second maintains it, and by the third, it's often completely gone. Poof, vanished into thin air. Because, as it turns out, financial stability isn't just about making the money. It's all about the mindset, the strategy, and the values that keep that money grounded.
And that brings us to the core of what we're looking at today. We're exploring the secret code. Essentially, we're talking about translating time-tested, historical cultural wisdom into a highly practical blueprint for modern stability. If you're feeling overwhelmed by debt, maybe frustrated by a lack of savings, or just kind of stuck in financial stagnation, trust me, you are not alone. Countless others have stood exactly where you are right now, and they've found a way forward by embracing these exact principles. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover building your wealth mindset, the strategy of stewardship, generosity and powerful alliances, resilience and ethical balance, and finally, creating a lasting legacy. Let's get right into it.
Pillar 1, building your wealth mindset, which is really all about reprogramming those old habits. Listen to this one closely. Money is a tool, not a goal in itself. Before you even look at a spreadsheet or open your banking app, your financial foundation needs a complete mental shift. You literally have to reprogram the habits and the psychology driving your daily choices. True financial success starts the second you stop treating money as the ultimate prize, or worse, a measure of your self-worth. Instead, you've got to look at every single dollar as a wrench, a hammer, a building block. It's a seed for your future, an instrument you use to design the exact life you actually want to live. We've all been trapped in that limiting belief, haven't we? That nagging thought of, man, I'll never get ahead. It is so easy to get stuck in that cycle of negative self-talk. But what happens when you swap out that panicked thought for an empowering affirmation? Something like, every decision brings me closer to my goals. It just feels entirely different. When you consistently make this mental shift, you'll naturally start pausing before making impulsive purchases, asking yourself if they actually serve your long-term goals. Which leads us to a pretty powerful number, 40%. Let me tell you a quick story about David. He's a small business owner who was completely drowning in debt, but he decided to challenge his limiting beliefs and started implementing a really simple rule. He set aside a 10% savings seed from absolutely everything he earned and relentlessly tracked his daily expenses. Yes, even the small coffees. Just by making those mindful shifts, David reduced his massive debt load by 40% in a single year. That is the tangible power of a true wealth mindset. Moving right along to Pillar 2, the strategy of stewardship. This is where we get into the planning and investing. So proper stewardship basically means taking that brand new mindset and applying deliberate, actionable steps to turn financial chaos into total control. It's all about actionable frameworks. First up, track all your spending. You simply cannot manage what you don't measure. Second is the envelope system. This is where you physically or digitally divide your cash into categories, setting really strict boundaries. One business owner actually dropped his unnecessary spending by 25% in just 3 months by capping his discretionary envelope at $500. And third, the debt snowball method. This is where you attack your smallest debts first to build some psychological momentum and then roll those payments right into your larger debts. But the real secret weapon of stewardship, that's the math behind compound interest. Think about this. If you invest just $200 a month at an average 6% return, by year 20, it compounds into nearly $100,000. I know investing sounds intimidating at first, but not when you break it down into a manageable, automated monthly habit. That's when your money actually starts working for you, instead of you working so hard for your money. All right, let's jump into Pillar 3, generosity and powerful alliances. We're talking Tzedakah and networking. Now, I know this might sound a little counterintuitive when we're supposed to be talking about building wealth, but giving away a portion of your money and strategically connecting with others is actually what cements your prosperity. Take the concept of Tzedakah, for example. It's a timeless Jewish tradition of charity, but here's the crucial shift. It is not an afterthought, and it's definitely not a burden. It is an integral, dynamic, wealth-building tool. When you practice Tzedakah, you're shifting your entire perspective from scarcity to abundance. You are literally making an active investment in your community's ecosystem. To put that into perspective, let's look at this number, 15%. Remember David from earlier? Even though he was super stressed about money, he decided to allocate just 1% of his income to Tzedakah. That was about $100 a month. Well, this modest, disciplined donation actually broadened his network. It sparks this chain reaction of reciprocal kindness in his community, which directly led to a job referral and ultimately a 15% salary increase. Generosity really does invite abundance right back into your life. And that spirit of generosity naturally extends to how you build alliances. But your networking strategy requires intention. You need to identify your specific milestones before you ever walk into a room. Craft a quick, succinct personal pitch so people know exactly what you do. Do your homework and research your mentors thoroughly. And finally, diversify and cross-pollinate those ideas. I know a professional who used these exact intentional steps during a single conversation at a conference, and guess what? It yielded a $50,000 partnership referral. You really have to treat your network like a living asset. Next up is Pillar 4, resilience and ethical balance. Getting that balance right between work and wisdom. Look, we all know we're living in an era of epidemic burnout. To truly thrive, you've got to align your hard work with profound ethical boundaries. Central to this is the concept of mishpat, which means fairness, accountability, and balanced decision-making. Demanding fairness in your everyday transactions isn't just a nice moral guideline, it's a highly actionable strategy. When you take the time to scrutinize contracts and flat-out refuse to take unethical shortcuts, you are protecting your family from financial traps and future-proofing your career. Trust me, trust is a currency. So, how does this actually build into your daily routine? Well, the old way is working 12 hours straight out of pure panic, thinking that more hours automatically equals more success. But the new way is setting strict 60-minute personal boundaries for your health and personal development. Studies actually show that setting these clear boundaries and dodging burnout can boost your productivity by up to 20%. You really owe it to yourself to protect your focus. Now, the real test is how you handle sudden setbacks when they inevitably happen. And here is your resilience blueprint. Number 1, assess and brutally cut the non-essentials. Number 2, target a 3-month contingency fund. And number 3, identify the patterns that cause the setback and actually learn from them. When our guy David lost his job unexpectedly, he didn't panic. He followed these exact steps, cut his spending by 20%, and quickly built a $1,200 buffer that became the springboard to his next career move. That is adaptability in action. And that brings us to our final pillar, Pillar 5, creating a lasting legacy. This is all about generational wealth. Because really, this is the ultimate goal, isn't it? Ensuring that the wealth, the wisdom, and the stability you're building right now actually outlasts you. It brings us right back to the question we started with, but with a bit of a twist. Consider this astonishing number, 300. While most wealth vanishes by the 3rd generation, certain families, like the Tisches, have intentionally preserved their prosperity for over 300 years. Crazy, right? But they didn't just amass wealth, they actively managed it and passed down the instruction manual right along with the money. If you want to preserve your prosperity, there are a few core legacy tactics you should start implementing today. Make financial education a family affair. Seriously, talk about money openly at the dinner table. Practice ethical investing, which means aligning your profit with your purpose through things like ESG or SRI funds. Prioritize incredibly clear estate planning so you can avoid generational disputes and legal nightmares down the road. And of course, foster open, transparent communication so everyone is fully aligned on the family's long-term vision. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. What story will your next dollar tell? Will it be a story of impulsive spending and fleeting stress? Or is it going to be a story of intentional stewardship, radical generosity, and true generational stability? The entire blueprint is right here in front of you. Apply this code today, take control, and start writing a legacy that's going to echo for decades to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.